Letter 496 by Charles Lamb, 30 Nov. 1829. Dear G., the excursionists reached home, and the good town of Enfield a little after 4 without slip or dislocation. Little has transpired concerning the events of the back journey, save that on passing the house of Squire Mellish, situate a stonebows cast from the hamlet, Father Westwood, with a good-natured wonderment, exclaimed, "I cannot think what is gone of Mr. Mellish's rooks. I fancy they have taken flight somewhere, but I have missed them 2 or 3 years past." All this while, according to his fellow travellers' report, the rookery was darkening the air above with undiminished population, and deafening all ears but his with their cawings. But nature has been gently withdrawing such phenomena from the notice of Thomas Westwood's senses, from the time he began to miss the rooks. T. Westwood has passed a retired life in this hamlet of 30 or 40 years, living upon the minimum which is consistent with gentility, yet a star among the minor gentry, receiving the bows of the tradespeople and courtesies of the almswomen daily. Children venerate him not less for his external show of gentry, than they wonder at him for a gentle rising endorsation of the person, not amounting to a hump, or if a hump, innocuous as the hump of the buffalo, and coronative of as mild qualities. T's a throne on which patience seems to sit, the proud perch of a self-respecting humility, stooping with condescension. Thereupon the cares of life have sate, and rid him easily, for he has thrid the angustiae domus with dexterity. Life opened upon him with comparative brilliancy. He set out as a rider or traveller for a wholesale house, in which capacity he tells of many hairbreadth escapes that befell him, one especially, how he rode a mad horse into the town of Devizes, how horse and rider arrived in a foam, to the utter consternation of the expostulating hostlers, innkeepers, and see it seems it was sultry weather, piping hot, the steed tormented into frenzy with gadflies, long past being roadworthy, but safety and the interest of the house he rode for were incompatible things. A fall in serge cloth was expected, and a mad entrance they made of it. Whether the exploit was purely voluntary or partially, or whether a certain personal defiguration in the man part of this extraordinary centaur, non-assistive to partition of natures, might not enforce the conjunction, I stand not to inquire. I look not with skew eyes into the deeds of heroes. The hosier that was burnt with his shop in Field Lane on Tuesday night shall have passed to heaven for me like a Marian martyr, provided always that he consecrated the fortuitous incremation with a short ejaculation in the exit, as much as if he had taken his state degrees of martyrdom in form. The market vicinage, there is adoptive as well as acquisitive sacrifice. Be the animus what it might, the fact is indisputable, that this composition was seen flying all abroad, and mine host of Daintree may yet remember its passing through his town, if his scores are not more faithful than his memory. After this exploit enough for one man, Thomas Westwood seems to have subsided into a less hazardous occupation, and in the 25th year of his age we find him a haberdasher in Bow Lane, yet still retentive of his early riding, though leaving it to rower stomachs, and Christmasly at night sithence to this last, and shall to his latest. Christmas hath he, doth he, and shall he, tell after supper the story of the insane steed and the desperate rider. Save for Bedlam or Luke's no, I could have guessed that melting day what house he rid for. But he reposes on his bridles, and after the ups and downs, metaphoric only, of a life behind the counter, hard riding sometimes, I fear, for poor T.W., with the scrapings together of the shop and one anecdote, he hath finally settled at Enfield. By hard economizing, gardening, building for himself, hath reared a mansion, married a daughter, qualified a son for a counting-house, gotten the respect of high and low, served for self or substitute the greater parish offices, hath a special voice at vestries, and domiciliating us hath reflected a portion of his housekeeping respectability upon your humble servants. We are greater, being his lodgers, than when we were substantial renters. His name is a passport to take off the sneers of the native Enfielders against obnoxious foreigners. We are endenizened. Thus much of T. Westwood have I thought fit to acquaint you, that you may see the exemplary reliance upon Providence with which I entrusted so dear a charge as my own sister, to the guidance of a man that rode the mad horse into Devizes. To come from his heroic character, all the amiable qualities of domestic life concenter in this tamed Bellerophon. He is excellent over a glass of grog, just as pleasant without it, laughs when he hears a joke, and when, which is much oftener, he hears it not, sings glorious old sea songs on festival nights, and but upon a slight acquaintance of 2 years, Coleridge is as a deaf old man to us as old Norris, rest his soul, was after 50. To him and his scanty literature, what there is of it sound, have we flown from the metropolis and its cursed annualists, reviewers, authors, and the whole muddy ink press of that stagnant pool. Now Gilman again, you do not know the treasure of the Fullers. I calculate on having massy reading till Christmas. All I want here is books of the true sort, not those things in boards that moderns mistake for books, what they club for at book clubs. I did not mean to cheat you with a blank side, but my eye smarts, for which I am taking medicine, and abstain, this day at least, from any aliments but milk porridge, the innocent taste of which I am anxious to renew after a half-century's disacquaintance. If a blot fall here like a tear, it is not pathos but an angry eye. Farewell while my spicilla are sound. Yours and yours. This letter records the safe return of Mary Lamb with the Fullers. Squire Mellish, William Mellish, MP for Middlesex for some years. Thomas Westwood's son, for whom Lamb found an appointment, wrote some excellent articles in Notes and Queries many years later describing the Lamb's life at his father's. Old Norris, see letter to Crabbe Robinson, Jan. 20, 1827. Spicilla is probably a slip for conspicilla,